Please join me today for some collage paper fun.
Close your eyes, get some rest. I'm by your side, lay your head on my chest. I know you've had a really bad day, but I'm right here, it's gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. Calm your soul, hold my hand, don't let go. I understand. I know it hurts, it wasn't fair. It's over now, so don't despair. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay.
The problem with doing something like this is once you start, it's very difficult to stop. But I have managed to stop after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 5 pages. So it's a good idea if you're going to use these in their totality, in the size that they are. It's good to just go and check front and back where you've got loose pieces and then use a fine glue to stick them down. You don't have to. Sometimes it's nice to leave a little bit of texture and crumple it or rip it or something like that. But I do quite like having that solid glued base. It just gives it a lot more structure. So you can also, where you've got large pieces like I've done there, I've added some tape. You can go ahead and add some washi tape on this to give it even more texture. I mean, it's endless. Absolutely endless. And what I wanted to show you before I forget, I wanted to just quickly have a look at this journal, and let's have a look. I've got this journal and I've got another journal again, which is the partner to this journal. So I've got 3 journals here. This is getting rather chunky now. I don't think I can actually put any more in it. But all these journals, all the pages that I've used in these journals were made doing this method. I may have used smaller pieces. So I'm just trying to see if I can find... Yeah, so there's an example. They are smaller pieces to what I've done here, but I've done this size just so it's a quicker exercise, just to get a few examples done. But you can see here where, let's have a look if I got another example. No, I definitely got examples in here. So you can see here, it's a chunky chick. But you can see the collaged version of the pages. A lot more messy than this. I've used more like scraps rather than sort of straight edges, and where I've cut the pages into manageable sections. This is exactly how I created these pages, and it makes it so much easier to then art journal on them, to collage over them. So you're actually starting on top of a collage. And I know I do get comments that, oh, you're covering up the best bits and why are you going over what you've already done? But this is purely just a base, and these are scraps. So they give you the springboard to create something on top of. And I like that. And for this journal, the one I'm using for this challenge, again, it's very similar, but the difference with this was that it was made like a masterboard, so it's got a base. The collaged elements are on top of the base, so it's a lot thicker, and you could do a lot more wet mixed media work in this type of journal, which really I don't think I'm going to do, but I got the option to do that if I want to. So I just wanted to show you those journals, just so you can see that these pages are so versatile. You don't just have to create collage papers that you're going to rip up and put on other elements. You can actually create your journals out of them, and then you've got some wonderful backgrounds to work on top of. I've used all different types of papers in these journals. I've used digital kits and all manner of things. So it's, yeah, I love doing this type of thing. I love having that higgledy-piggledy, messy kind of background to work on. I can't bear working on a blank page. So that's just a couple of ideas. And what I thought I'd do is I'd choose the largest one, and for the sake of the video I'm going to cut it up into 4 so that it's going to be easier to work on, and then we can try out different ideas. I just thought that would be an easier thing to do. So I'm just going to cut these in half. Oops, this is very, very delicate. I might have to put something on top of that. We'll see how it goes. And I might actually, let's have a look at that journal. Let's cut a couple that will fit in here. So that's a good width, and I'm going to cut the length as well, round about there. So I've got 2 pages that I know will fit in my journal that I'm working on for this challenge. I've got a long one then that I could use for a tag. And maybe we can cut this up. So we've got different sizes to play with. And I just got these 2 little pieces left that maybe I can create a little cluster out of. So the first thing I'm going to try on this piece is covering it with a piece of sewing pattern paper. And if you haven't got any sewing pattern paper, but you've got some tea bags would work lovely doing this as well. So it's the same kind of sort of vintagey layering. And I'm going to use matte gel. Use any type of glue. You could very easily use your glue stick on this, but I'm going to use matte gel because it's just quicker to cover the whole surface. And I'm using a silicone brush because I'm being lazy and I don't have to then clean my brush. I can just wipe it. And I think I've got it all covered there. The other thing you could use as well if you haven't got sewing pattern paper is you could try it with tissue paper or even napkin paper, you know, the backing of napkin paper. Now, I've got a couple of creases which I actually want, but that creates a lovely collage bit of paper and changes how it looks. So I really like that. So you get, depending on what's on your pattern paper, you get that nice texture. So let me just, you do need to leave it dry quite well before you do anything to it. You get a lovely vintagey feel. It changes the colour and it also creates that extra layer which gives it a little bit more strength for you to do other things on as well. So maybe we'll do some other things on this in a bit, but for now I really like that. I'm just going to leave that as an example for an idea of how to create a collage sheet. So if you imagine, I'm only using small pieces because it's easy for the camera, but I would do this over a whole piece, a whole large sheet. And then, of course, using matte gel or watered down PVA glue would make life a whole lot easier then. But if I pop this on my journal there, you can see it's a really nice contrast then between the different types of scraps I've used. So we'll let that dry. On this piece, I have covered it with the sewing pattern paper on both sides. And that means we can do something different on both. And then we'll have something that will be a dual use. So I've got that pattern paper on there and I've dried it off a little bit with my heat tool. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to put some gesso. So the gesso I'm using is a cheap one, a Studio Acrylics gesso. It's a white one. And I'm just going to randomly add some white gesso and cover it all up so that you're just left with hints of what's underneath. So I'm going to dry that off and then I'm going to do the other side as well. So both sides are done now, just lightly. You could do a lot more gesso if you wanted to, but I want the pattern paper to come through and also the lovely book pages. I've got walnut stain distress spray. And I've got tumbled glass distress oxide spray. And what I want to do is just create a little bit of grunge on this. So I'm going to try and not get this everywhere. I've also got a spray bottle full of water. And I'm just going to, now I don't know if this is actually going to spray. It's been playing up of late. So I might have to just flick it on. I don't want too much anyway, so I'm not too worried, but obviously if it was spraying, it would be a lot easier. So I just want to grunge up the edges a little bit. And then do what drives me nuts when I watch other people do it, is take it away because there'll be too much on there. So, but then you only really want a hint. Now, instead of using distress spray stain, you could use some strong coffee. I just haven't got it on me, so I'm using the distress spray instead. And then I want to add some blue. Like that, and I'm going to dry that off. So I want to soften this now, so I'm going to use some quick drying polyfiller. You could use textured paste, you could even use more gesso if you haven't got anything else. And I am going to use a stencil on this side. So I'm just going to grab some with my palette knife. Couldn't think of the word then. And I've got this stencil, and it is called, it's by Craft Treat, and just trying to see the name on it. It's CTS 559. I'm pretty sure I got it from Amazon. So just use whatever you've got on hand, and I'm going to scrape this on and then leave to dry. Okay, so that's what it looks like on there. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to leave that as is because I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with this piece yet, because I've got to keep on reminding myself that it's a collage paper, not a tag. So I'm trying not to try and finish it into a tag. It's quite hard work. So I'm going to do the other side as well. And what I'm going to do, I was just in the process of mixing some talcum powder or baby powder with the gesso. And what that does is it gives you a much thicker paste to work with. And instead of baby powder, which some people may not want to use, you could use cornstarch and just mix it into your gesso, and then you get a nice gritty paste that will give you even more texture. So I've just mixed this on this piece of plastic here, and just keep on adding small little bits of talcum powder or cornstarch to your gesso until you get the right consistency. So I've gone quite thick on this one. I have tried it with a thinner one, but the thinner it is, the more likely it is to go through the stencil. So I'm going to stencil this one as well, and I'm going to use this leafy stencil. And I think what I'll do is I'll just stencil half of it, not all of it. And I'm just scrape this off my brush just to start, and I'm going to go on this side. And what's good about making collage papers is you don't have to be too precious about the outcome, because the idea with your collage paper is that you're going to eventually cut it up or rip it up and create something else with it. So that's what it looks like. I mean, it has gone through a little bit. Maybe I could have made it thicker, but it's a good way of thickening up gesso and repurposing it for something else. So I'm going to leave that dry, and I've got loads of this now left, which I don't want to waste. So I'm just trying to find my cloth. I put it somewhere and I can't find it now. It'll come back to me somewhere. So I'm going to just grab some scraps and turn these into collage paper and just use up what I've got here so it doesn't go to waste. Okay, so that will make some really nice collage paper to rip up. So I'll let that dry as well. So the next thing I'm going to try is this tissue paper, and I'm very fortunate to have this. I purchased a couple of these rolls on Amazon. They are Tim Holtz. I don't own much Tim Holtz stuff, so when I have got stuff, I'm loath to use it because it's fairly expensive. But it does create gorgeous collage paper, and if you're in a rush or you just love what you've bought, then by all means do use this. You could get a very similar effect from using napkins. Just tear off the napkins and just use the top layer. So I'm going to use this on this piece. I think think I'm going to use this side. I don't know. Yeah, I'll use this side. And I'm going to use matte gel. And I'm going to cover my collage paper with the gel. You could also use a glue stick. I think the matte gel or Mod Podge as well would work really well for this. It does give a nice base, but with your Mod Podge you will get a sort of sheen to it. So if you don't want the sheen, then use matte gel. And I'm just going to pop this on here and hopefully cover all of it, and then go over it with the matte gel and see how vintagey it looks, because it might be that it is a bit too white, but I think with the colour of the book pages underneath you'll get a nice vintagey feel coming through. But we'll have a look and see what it looks like once it's dried. I'm just going to snip it off. I'm going to dry this now with a heat tool so we can have a look then very quickly and see how it's turned out. So here's the container. So it's Tim Holtz Ideology collage paper. And I actually think this is worth the money. So it is lovely. It's a lovely product to use. So, and I'm not sponsored in any way, shape or form. So please don't think that I am. Okay, so that's turned out quite nice actually. It's not fully dry, but you can see the colours have really come out from it. And if you wanted to add a little bit more grunge, then use something like this brush, which is like a makeup brush, and you could just go over some of the areas. Now this isn't the best idea because it's obviously not fully dry, so you won't get such a nice finish, but you can, if you gently rub it, you can certainly, without making too much of a mess, you can get a more vintagey feel. So I really like that for collage paper. Before ripping it, obviously I'm going to have to leave it dry completely. But it's very similar to this technique where you're just adding a thin layer on top, but it's very vibrant. So sometimes it is worth paying a little bit extra for something like this. I don't know if there are any cheaper versions out there. There probably is, but this is the one that I've got from Tim Holtz. So I do really like that. That's a nice way to quickly create a collage paper. So I don't think any video would be complete if I wasn't creating some flower doodles. So that's another way you can create collage paper very quickly and easily, is using your watercolours. I'm going to use various blues on mine, and I'm going to do my usual little doodles and just create these little flowers. And because you're doodling on different types of paper, then the paint that you're using will react. Now you don't have to use watercolour, you could use acrylic ink for this as well. And really cheap paints will work great for this type of thing. And then you just do as much as you can before you get bored. So you could do small ones, large ones, different types of petals. I'm just going to do the same petals. And I'm just going to do different blues. So that's one set. Let's do another large set again. So I've got different blue here. So I've just used phthalo blue and I'm now using Prussian blue. Maybe doing the flowers just a little bit smaller with the same brush. I love the Prussian blue. And then let's see what else I've got. So I've got this Gansai Tambi watercolour set, and it's got a lovely blue, really sort of like a dark blacky blue. So it's coming out more grey on here, which is quite interesting.
Fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay.
Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to just add something for the centre of each flower, and I can't help myself. I'm going to go with gold, and I'm going to use this gold ink. Some droplets in there. Some of it will bleed because my flowers are dry, but I'm okay with that. And maybe a few little gold splatters. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to go back to this now as both sides are fairly dry, and what I'm going to do is do a little bit of stamping, and I'm going to use ground espresso distress oxide, and I don't want too much. So I want it to look, well, I don't really want it to be too noticeable. So just a little bit of stamping in the background there. Just to give it a little bit more interest. And yeah, so I'm happy with that one. So that's pretty good now to use to create something with. And with this one, what I'd like to do is a little bit of line drawing, a little bit of doodling. And I've got hold of this wonderful book. It's called The Flower Family Album by Fisher and Barger, I think it is. And I believe it's an American book. I got it off eBay, and it's not one I want to tear up. It's one that I want to use as a reference. And I had this recommendation for this book from Inked Paper Arts, and if I remember, I will link her YouTube channel below. She has some amazing projects on there, and if I forget, please do remind me in the comments and I will link it. So let's have a look. It's just got these wonderful illustrations. They are just so gorgeous. I love them. When I saw it on YouTube, I thought, I've got to have that. So I don't know how I'm going to draw from it, but that's what I want to do. I want to copy one of these. I mean, they'd be gorgeous ripped up and put on a tag and things, but I really don't want to rip this up. I want to be able to just continually reference the material and try and copy it. So I'm going to have a quick look now to see what I can draw. So I'm going to go for this little illustration here. California Poppy, I think it is. And because this is quite dark in its tones, I'm going to go for using watered down acrylic paint in this fine liner applicator. Now, you don't need one of these. Let me just go and find what you can use instead. That'll be a lot cheaper. Something like these glue bottles will work just as nice. You want something with a fine nib if you're going to use watered down acrylic paint. I'm using it because it's so dark. If this wasn't so dark, then I would use a black pen, a black fine liner. But it isn't, so I'm going to use this. And it's not going to look like this at all. It'll be all out of proportion. And I'm just going to do like an abstract kind of thing. So let's start with the easiest part, which is these flower petals here. And just going to make it look like that. And then we've got this flower head that's looking on its side. So it sort of comes down like that. I don't think I'm going to get it to look like that too much, but we'll see what we can do. And then we've got quite a sweeping stem, and I think I can draw the rest then with the paint. So that's looking a bit odd, but let's go with that first and give it a go. So it's quite difficult with me being right-handed. Of course, you could practice this on a bit of paper first. So I'm just going to leave it like that, and eventually I'll rub out the pencil lines, but it's just an impression. It's just something to scribble down. Obviously I wouldn't tear this. This would be a finished piece now, like this, so I might actually tear around it so that it just becomes just like something that I can put on the page. But that's an idea for you as well. One of the easiest ways to create collage papers is to actually just use your scraps to clean off whatever you're working on. So if you're working on a stencil that's got some gesso on, just wipe it off on a scrap bit of paper, and in no time at all you will have some lovely collage papers that you can then doodle on or just rip up, just add them to your artwork. So that makes such an easy way to create collage. So I was just going to, like on this one now, I just wanted to add a little bit of just a bit of the blue that I've got left in my pan here, and just to give it just another dimension. So very easy way to create collage paper. And before I put my watercolours away, what I wanted to do was actually create some I can't even think of the name now. Swatches, colour swatches. So I've got a piece of packaging paper here, and the way you can do colour swatches, you can do them in a couple of ways. So what you can do is you can start off with a very strong mix of the one colour, and then what you can do is you can make it more and more watery as you go down the colour palette. Actually, this is actually mixed with a bit of green now, but so then you just make it more watery. So you can see I've got green there, but the effect is really nice. So that just gives it looks like it's different colours, but actually it's just using the pigments much lighter and translucent. Maybe make that one just a little bit darker. And this one a bit darker as well, just to get the difference. There we are. And then what you can do then as well is obviously change the colours. So I'll stick with the same Prussian blue here, and then go on to my, what we got here, cobalt blue, which I'm not a fan of. I don't know why, but that colour doesn't really do it for me. Strange, isn't it, how you have preferences on colour. And I'm going to do phthalo blue. So again, it's very thick. And because I've got so much on my brush, I'm just going to paint it on here just to get all that lovely colour off my brush. And then I'm going to use Payne's Grey at the bottom. Now it's really fun to create these colour swatches on different types of paper. So I'm going to let that dry, and I need to sort of pull that and put it somewhere where it can dry. I'm running out of space and I need to wipe that as well, otherwise I'm going to have stains all over my mat. Let's do some on this sheet of pattern paper. And I'm going to start with Opera Violet. Gorgeous colour. And while I'm here, and that's spreading out a little bit, but that's okay. I think it's because it's wet underneath, so that's all right. So that's that one. And then I think what I'll do as well is I'll try it on some newspaper. So I want to finish up this tag before I completely tidy up. And what I would like to do is create 2 tags from this. So I'm going to rip this up. Eek! So there's my collage papers. Then I am going to create the second half of the tags with this paper. I clearly haven't thought this out very well, but I kind of know what I want to do, but then I'm not too sure either. So I know I've got to have at least that amount, I think. So if I flip that over, I'll then get a decent size tag, maybe a little bit less. But what I want to do is I want the edges to be jagged. So let's just rip this now and see how it goes. And let's not worry about the outcome too much. Right, so that's all torn. And what I want then is I want it torn on either side. So you could actually use, I've got these plastic rulers here, which is the best one. I think that might be a little bit too jagged. The other ones look a bit too neat. Let's try this side and hold this down as best as we can and see if we can get a jagged edge. I do have a decal cutter, but I know I'll be in the minority in that, so I want to try and use supplies that are easier and cheaper to get hold of. There we are. So I've just got little bits there. Let's try and do the same with this side. So I think if I try this edge, it's going to be really messy, but let's give it a go then. Let's see. There we are. We got there in the end. So this paper is from the packaging you get around flowers. So less paper actually, but kind of something like that I was thinking. It's a shame to, what I'm trying to say is, like, I like that there, and then on this side I'd like that there, but I can't have it both ways, can I? Well, I suppose I could if I just rip that bit off. Would that work? I think it would work actually. So if I make this shorter so you can't see it, so it goes like that. Okay, that's what I want. I'm going to try and make it so that it's kind of straight-ish. Right, so the first thing I need to do now is I need to glue this together. And then I need to glue these edges. And now I need to find my scissors and put this into some kind of decent shape. It's quite a thin tag. There we are. I'm going to make the other one now. Let's hopefully make this one just slightly better.
Oh, I wanna see ya. Now I'm ready to be hurt again. I'll end up in your lap while you pull me closer to your chest. I see it in your eyes that you are ready to be hurt again, like nothing ever crashed. This is the best it ever gets. I see it in your eyes that we will get hurt again. We will get hurt again. I said put us on hold. Let us stop for a minute.
There we are. So I just need to leave that dry now, and then I can stitch around it. And I've made 2 tags from that small collage paper, and they're quite unique. And yeah, I might do a little bit of stamping on there now just to give it a little bit of contrast, but I like that. So that's just an idea of how to use your collage papers. So I want to finish off these 2 tags, and the first one I'm going to finish off is this one, and I am going to put these little colour swatches that I've cut out because I thought they looked cute. So I'm going to place them around here. And I'm going to use this watercolour doodle, which reminds me that I definitely have to do some more. And for this one, I'm going to use this doodle. So I've ripped it, stitched it, made a mess. And yeah, I think I'll do this side. Or shall I do that side? Hang on. No, I think it looks better this side. So I was going to add this as the embellishment. And I was going to use a little bit of tape and I will just get something suitable for that. Got some pink cord here. I think it's called hemp cord. And that are the two little tags used with collage papers, all nice and finished, ready for my personal journals. So I've ended up with my two tags here, double-sided, so I could easily put some embellishments on them as well. I really like those. I think they're quite unique. I've got some tear-up collage papers. This one was a stencil gone wrong, so what I did was just added some black where the stencil marks should be, so that would be nice just to tear up. This was one that I used the handmade texture paste, and I can rip that up and add it. Just got a little bit of blue scrap there, and here's some papers that I can easily doodle on or do some mark making, which that's another idea to use for collage papers. And then I've got these here. So this was the Tim Holtz tissue paper, which I cut in half, did a little bit of stitching, and I'll probably use those for two separate pages in my collage journal. I've got some of the swatches here, so they're really nice sort of fodder to add to your collage pages. Got this little doodle here. In the end I coloured in the flowers and just added a little white dot. I think that could go there. And then I did a pink sheet and I did a blue sheet. And the idea of these is to rip them up and again use them as different pieces in a collage arrangement. And these are a lot of fun actually. I could probably spend all day just doing these. And I think that's what I would advise. If you've not created collage papers before, then start small, like I have done, and then they're not so intimidating. And if you don't like one of them, then you haven't really lost much. Use your scrap papers. You don't have to do what I've done, which is create pages out of book pages. I just wanted to give the illusion of this being vintage, so that's why I've done this. But you can just use any type of paper, and tissue paper is great for this kind of project. But start small, try out different techniques that you see. If you've got an Instagram account, head over to that, search for the hashtag 10 days of bits and pieces 2025. You will see loads of ideas over there to give you inspiration. And then when you're not feeling much in the mood, or you're a little bit tired, or you just want to sit on the sofa and do something with your hands, then creating collage papers is a great thing to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to carry on and do a little bit more, and hopefully I will see you again very soon. And if you'd really like to, please do share your makes online with the hashtag 10 days bits and pieces 2025. So this is prompt number 4. So we're on the 10th of October today. So I'm going to create now for the next couple of days some collage papers, and I will also create a page in my journal, which is this one. Not too sure what I'm going to do yet on this side, but I will definitely share it with you when I get round to making it. So I do hope this has provided a little bit of inspiration for you to go make some messy papers and to use them in your journals. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.
Done with running. I've always known that if we stop running, that will be done. I wish you knew.